Hey there, this is Laugh It Off. I'm Sam and I'm here today with Lynn Ruth Miller, who is a stand-up comedian at Melbourne's International Comedy Festival this year. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. So tell me a little bit about the show this year. Tell me about This Is Your Future.
The show, I'm doing a show at the Butterfly Club, and it's called This Is Your Future. And it's a show that makes fun of the stereotypes that we all have about what it's like to age. And it's also an observational, I do observational comedy. So it's an observation on how morals and standards and frames of reference have changed since 1933, which is when I was born.
And so you started comedy at 71. You said it felt like a natural progression after working in broadcast. And why comedy? Why starting at 71?
I was a journalist and I wrote feature stories. And I stumbled on a link to a thing called San Francisco Comedy College. And I don't believe you can teach people to be funny. I think that's a natural thing. So I was going to do one of these marvelous journalistic exposés. I was going to show how he was ripping everyone off.
Yeah.
And so I called him. I write for 2 magazines and 2 newspapers, and I would like to write a story about the college, the comedy college. And he wrote me back, and I took the class. And he was the first one to say to me, I can't teach you anything. You're funny. But I had been in broadcasting. I wrote a humorous column. So I was used to twisting reality. I was used to coming up with a surprise ending. Comedy, to be effective, has to be based on truth.
Of course.
But it is not necessarily true. That's the whole point.
And so we were talking a little bit before about your encounter with Amy Schumer.
Oh yes.
Tell me a little bit more about your friendship with Amy Schumer.
Well, I don't have a friendship with her. Although I do, she wanted to take a picture with me, and I have a picture. She was the headliner when I did my tryout for the Punchline at San Francisco. In San Francisco, the Punchline is where local comedians make their mark. San Francisco, despite the fact that it's a very popular city, does not have that many comedy outlets. And the Punchline is the major one. And the woman that was the booker is a woman named Molly Schminke, and did not think I was very funny. And Amy Schumer was the headliner, and Amy Schumer loved my humor. And she said to Molly, that woman is funny. And that's how I got booked.
So tell me a little bit, we do talk a lot about the way that women in comedy face barriers. Women in comedy have a glass ceiling. What advice would you give to young women who want to make people laugh for a career?
The first thing is, be yourself.
Yep.
Do not try to imitate a man. Do not try to do male comedy. If you're going to talk, I don't know how free my language could be here, but if you're going to be talking about wanking and we're not interested. You talk about what women we talk about. Just be yourself. That's the key to my comedy. I just talk about being old. Up until you're 50, you're too busy trying to figure out who you are, what your economic status is going to be, where your segment, where you are in life. Whether you're going to be a homeowner, whether you're going to be with a partner, whether you're going to be single, whether you're going to be a career person, what kind of career. You're doing that up until you're 50. You're finding where you're going to live. Are we going to live in my own house? Are you going to rent? You're living with all that. And then when you get to be 50, you think, nah, I'm going to be me. And then you have to start figuring that one out. And by the time you're 60, you sort of got it.
Yeah.
But with women comedians, my biggest advice is just keep at it.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to get, what is it? Ginger Rogers says, I can do everything a man can do, and I can do it backwards in high heels. Eventually you're going to get there. There's a line that someone said to me after I lost the 3rd time trying out for America's Got Talent. She said, if you stand in line long enough, you'll get to the counter. She's absolutely right.
There's a lot of stories of women in comedy. At the end of it, it's kind of like, okay, 50 people came. The guy that opens the show gets $200 and the woman that closes the show gets 50.
50,
That pesky wage gap extends
It's huge.
to everything, doesn't it?
It's in everything. And it should not be. And part of the reason it's there is because we allow it to happen. We do not have the courage to say, well then, okay, I'll do something else. Because sometimes there isn't something else to do.
Exactly.
You say 62 is a retirement age, and then they become 62 and they say, okay, I'm done. Now I'm going to take the money I have and I am going to spend it. I'm going to go on cruises, I'm going to travel, which I think is a good thing. I'm going to let the world give back to me. I'm going to eat exotic, expensive meals. I'm going to fly first class. And I say, what a waste of energy and talent. Get out there, tutor a kid that can't read, make a new career, contribute. Now it's the time to contribute yourself. That's how I feel. When you look at my life, people say, oh, look, she went from here to here to here. They're not hearing the anguish. They're not seeing the uncertainty. They're not seeing the determination. It wasn't this, it was this.
Yeah.
And then each time it got to be there. And so stand-up comedy is really the culmination. And I'm proud of having done it. But it isn't the most important thing. The most important thing that I did was teaching, because I inspired a generation. I think the proudest thing, when you talk about the proudest thing I've ever done, I think that I figured out how to live. I'm happy. I wasn't when I was younger. I thought the world was too difficult, too many walls, too many glass ceilings.
Too many glass ceilings.
And now those glass ceilings, those walls don't bother me. They're still there. They don't bother me.
But you've definitely put a big crack in it, I would say.
I'm trying. I want to put in a crack for other people my age.
Yeah.
And women. Fear is the ultimate fantasy. Fear of something, it hasn't happened yet. When it happens, deal with it. We wake up with this much energy, this much. I'm not going to waste this much of it on negative stuff.
Yep.
Sometimes I do. That's called falling from grace. But if I catch myself, I go, this is my energy. I'm going to make my life go like this.
Yeah.
Because that's the way my life has been going. It's always gone like this. Because I'm not done. I'm not done at all. I don't believe in failure. I don't believe failure exists. Everything you do is building. You just keep going. There's no such thing as failure. That was an experience. That's all, an experience. And then I've had a lot of terrible things happen, but that was an experience. I learned from it.
Yeah.
If you let yourself learn from it. I think that I used to be very shy, which is hard to believe now, but I used to be very shy. And I never wanted to go someplace and because I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, because everybody's going to look at me. And he said to me, what makes you so self-centered? What makes you think that when you walk into a room, they're going to look at you? They're more worried about what you think of them. That changed my life. 7 o'clock, Wednesdays through Sundays at the Butterfly Club. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, and thank you for coming to RMIT to sit down with us.
Find it. Well, now I'm going to attempt to walk home.